So I was gonna do my own tier list and get my own ones that I wanted for this, but I was just too lazy. I didn't want to get all the little pictures and upload them into the tier list thing because that takes fucking forever. So I found someone else's tier list for incel movies. They already made one, a community one, but I only included 30 out of their list. I left out a bunch because I'm looking
It's
at them.
originally 100.
Yeah, there's so many, and like they don't have some on here. Like they don't have the King of Comedy isn't on this. That doesn't make any sense. Falling Down
Yeah.
isn't on this. That's
Well,
insane.
that's what I wanted to bring up is, are these movies? I thought it would be movies about incels, but it seems like they're movies that incels would like. So it's almost a recommendation like, hey, if you don't have sex, you're going to love this movie.
That's what it says. It says incel movie. So I do think that is you're correct. It's movies incels would like. That is that's
You
just
wouldn't like Apocalypse Now if you have too much sex. You're too busy fucking to watch this 3-hour movie.
well, that was my thing. I wanted to rank incels in movies. Was my
Yeah.
mind of thing. But I limited their list down to ones I think technically can count or we can play with. But some of the ones that they had on here, like Wolf of Wall Street, Looper, Green Book, Green Book's an incel movie.
I think that was like a Trojan horse where they tried to shoehorn it in so that maybe an incel will watch it and be less racist.
Hereditary.
Yeah, that one confused me too. That's like a soy movie. That's a beta movie, but it's not an incel movie.
Yeah, no, I mean maybe and then Birdman, which I can kind of get.
Yeah, it's almost.
Goodfellas, no. Goodfellas is not an incel movie. Citizen Kane.
No, that cracked me up. I saw that. So yes, Citizen Kane, literally me.
Yeah. I want to see that video essay. And then
It's almost like some of them. It's like everybody likes this movie, therefore incels are people. Therefore, they would also like this. Like you might like The Godfather Part Two
well,
if
like
you're an
fucking
incel.
Die
Really?
Hard. Die Hard, like there's nothing incel about Die Hard I mean there's kind of a
No.
literally me to the character, I guess, but like I'm not walking on
Yeah.
glass and finding
No.
terrorists. Pulp Fiction, no. Um Train Spotting, I guess you could count that one sort of. That sort of falls into it.
I do like they include the Elephant Man.
Yes,
That is a good one.
No Country for Old Men, super bad. V for Vendetta. I mean, these are movies that my teenage friends liked when I was growing up. I mean, that's what a lot of these are, like V for Vendetta, Dark Knight, you know, American
Yeah.
Beauty.
Well, that's just so much this like film criticism, this anti-bro thing that's like being pushed everywhere. Is like, can you believe like film bros like Dark Knight? Can you believe they like Tarantino? Yeah, yeah, pretty easily.
Uncut Gems, I'm gonna say no, not an incel movie. Uh, Close though. And then The Matrix. There Will Be Blood.
Well, The Matrix is an incel movie, I think.
No, I agree.
I will stand. Okay.
Okay, we'll put the Matrix. We'll move the Matrix up then, because I'm keeping everything on the bottom tier till we move them up. Okay. Scott Pilgrim technically could count, but he gets laid throughout that movie, so I don't. I get that
Yeah,
Scott
it's
Pilgrim is a literally me, especially in the comic. That is a literally me character.
I kind of took it as it's an incel movie because it's like it was nerd culture when that wasn't the marketable thing, and people that are incels would have kind of been the demographic for it at the time it was released.
Yeah, I'm just gonna exclude it from the list though. I have
Yeah,
I have no. I don't think Scott Pilgrim the character is an iconic incel. Um, Deadpool. I
yeah,
don't.
I don't know.
They included the John Wick trilogy. I just put the first one on our list because I don't see why we have to rank John Wick. John Wick 2 B tier, John Wick 3 D tier.
Yeah,
Uh, Scarface once again. I don't think Scarface is. I mean, he's. I get if you're going literally me. There's a little bit of that there. The Graduate's on here though.
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, we'll move the Graduate up. Okay, so
What about Zodiac? I feel like that one can
oh, it's
be
on.
taken away.
Oh, you want to take Zodiac? You don't think? I think Robert Graysmith's an incel in that. Jake
That is
Gyllenhaal.
true. Yeah, there is that component. Like I was thinking more like the mystery murder aspect, but that's fair.
Yeah,
Um,
the performance of his weirdest performance is in Zodiac in that character. Like that scene at the basement, it's either the best scene of the movie or the worst scene of the movie. And I flip flop every time I see it. So this is how we did this tier list. We didn't do the traditional ranking. We have Kino as S tier, Sigma is A tier, a Chad is B, a normie movie is C, and then a D tier is going to be Beta. So I say we'll just go through them in a row, and then we'll see what we have at the end, and we'll have our list. This is the definitive list. The only thing missing though is King of Comedy and Falling Down, which I would say Kino for King of Comedy and Sigma for Falling Down. I think would be fair.
yeah, that's fair. And when you say definitive list, that's meaning that all the other lists on the internet are wrong.
Yes, this
So if you
is
see any other videos,
exactly.
ignore them.
This is the definitive incel list.
Turn your
Like
ad block off, click on the video, hit pause before a second passes, dislike, and get the fuck off the page
exactly. Okay.
for other videos, not ours.
So I Joker, I'm not saying this is Kino. I'm saying it's Sigma, but you might
Yeah.
disagree.
I mean, it's really tough because it's Kino, but for the wrong reasons.
That's the
Like,
question, right?
it's not so bad it's good, but like the meme level of it is Kino status, but the movie itself isn't S tier.
That's
So I
that's
think
how I
Sigma's
feel.
fair.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
Todd
Phoenix is
Phillips.
S tier.
Yes, yes. If we were doing this list and it was, but we have to change it to incel movie. If this was just incel, then yes, Joker is Kino,
Yeah.
but Todd Phillips is not.
Yeah.
As a filmmaker. Okay, so we're gonna put that in Sigma. Okay, I mean in yeah, Sigma. Okay, next one up is Drive. I mean that's Kino, right?
Yeah, I think it is the literally me movie. Like the
Yeah.
definitive one, probably.
And we can change these later too when we get done and we can say we don't like it. Okay, so right now we have
Mhm.
Drive and Kino and Joker and Sigma. Okay, Lars and the Real Girl, what do you think? Because I don't think it's
I'm
Kino.
no, because I mean, I've only seen the movie once, but I liked it quite a bit. I think that it's a great incel movie about a character like that. I think it's a sweet, charming movie. I'd probably go Sigma for this one. I almost feel like it's Chad plus,
I think it's
but I'll give it a
I
generous Sigma.
I think Chad too. I'm
Okay,
feeling
we can go
Chad.
Chad.
Okay. We don't have to always agree though. Like we can
Oh, we
discuss.
don't?
No. Yeah,
Never mind
I'll
then.
just do what I want so we don't have to agree. Clockwork Orange. Um
It's Kino, but it's not incel.
that's my problem with I mean
Alex Fox.
Alex is a literally me though. Like in a
That's
big
where it's
way.
tough.
He's the original persona of like the
Yeah.
Joker character on screen. But I think
Kubrick's very incelian as well.
Kubrickian, it's Incelian. This Kubrickian work is very Incelian. It sounds like an alien race.
Yeah, it sounds like a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah,
Coming 2024. Incelian. Starring Christian Bale.
starring Christian Bale, Ryan Gosling, and Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh man, I'd watch the fuck out of that movie. That's the question. Do we go of Kubrick and then is it Incelian Kino, or do we just say that because he fucks?
I mean, honestly,
Wait,
A
wait.
Clockwork
Alex isn't
Orange.
allowed to fuck in the second half though. He does
Oh,
get
that's
the
true.
Levico treatment.
And that was involuntary,
Yeah,
and it's celibate. So Kino status confirmed.
exactly. See how we figured that out? That equation.
This is what happens when men are confronted with a problem. They find a solution.
Adaptation.
That's Kino.
Charlie Kaufman is an incel.
Yeah.
Donald Kaufman isn't, but
No. Donald Kaufman is he's like the biggest Chad in cinema, pretty
yeah.
much.
No, one of my favorite things to throw back at a friend is when they're because I'm sure you've had this where people know you like movies, you're right, and they try to tell you an
Yeah.
idea. Like I've been to bars with friends who are like, I have an idea for a movie, and they pitch you the shittiest idea for a movie, and every time I'm like, this is like when Donald has that thriller movie idea
The
about the
three.
mirror. Yeah, three with the mirrors. Every time it's always that movie is what somebody pitches to me when they try to tell it's
It's so funny.
I'm always open to it. I'm like, oh cool, maybe you have a really neat idea. And it's always like some
Yeah.
serial killer with multiple identities or
Yeah.
something.
I love there's a line that Marine and I always quote to each other when we're joking around, where Donald says that Charlie doesn't like his script, and Don says, "Well, Mom said it was psychologically taught."
uh, okay, The Social Network. Mark Zuckerberg is an incel in that movie.
Yeah. It's tough because I don't wanna seem too generous giving them all Kino, but, like
I did kind of load up the good ones first, and as we go on,
okay,
they won't be. So the way I loaded it up is a lot of the high end ones are at the beginning that are pretty Kino.
okay,
So
yeah.
it is.
Because there's definitely some on the list that I know that I don't personally like.
I mean, let's just put Social Network and Sigma.
Yeah, I'm cool with that
Let's play
because
it safe.
if we're gonna put, like, Adaptation and A Clockwork Orange and Kino status, then that sets the bar pretty high to be of that caliber. So, like, if the incel Knights of the Round Table are there, it's like you have to be you don't even know what a woman feels like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in my heart, like Social Network is like a generational film, But
And that's why I was thinking Kino.
yeah, and there is the autism thing with the
Yeah.
Zuckerberg character in it too. But let's just keep it in Sigma, and we'll think about it after the fact.
Alright.
Nightcrawler. It's at
I'm gonna say
least
Sigma.
it's at least Sigma.
My thing with Nightcrawler, I like it a lot, but it is a little bit, like I don't say unoriginal, but it feels like taking a few movies you've seen before and putting them together and doing a really good job at it,
Yeah.
which makes it a good movie, but for me, Kino has to be top
Well,
caliber.
I just remember that would be my argument. Kino has to be like originating or perfecting, I think, because even Drive's a
Yeah,
derivative movie.
yeah.
But Drive did
The thing is
start like
Drive
a
just did it to that level.
yes, where like Nightcrawler, it's Muppet Babies Patrick Bateman in a lot of
Right.
ways. Do you remember we saw that on Halloween?
Yeah, this
And
is such a weird Halloween movie.
that was the weirdest Halloween in recent years because that was the night I found out the girl I was seeing. Remember that Emily? She was seeing her ex boyfriend, and then our friend Stu came to visit, and he was dressed like Heisenberg. And I was wearing an Abe Lincoln mask with a bullet hole in the head. And
I
we
don't remember any of this.
Yeah,
This is so
I
funny.
drilled a hole through an Abe Lincoln mask and put blood on it, and we went to go see Nightcrawler in a theater, and I had the Abe Lincoln mask on, and I remember we walked out and we had that conversation about it being derivative, but then as the time went on, we were obsessed with I remember particularly you were in love with him, like talking to his boss and being like, "You have to fuck me."
Yeah.
We thought that was so funny.
I like and how he was gaslighting his employee minion about being professional and all that. It's
Well,
just
Well,
psychopathic.
an argument could be made. I think that movie is a better version of what Todd Phillips is trying to do in Joker, and particularly the ending of the movie is a very Joker like
Mhm.
what he does to that guy, that homeless guy that he has
Yeah,
working for him. The ending, it's like, wait, is this character the fucking Joker?
yeah,
That's how it feels at the end of the movie. Because what I like about Nightcrawler and Joker has this too, it's a slow burn. It's building up to that last 20 minutes.
yeah. And that is the thing is when it pays off, it really pays off well.
Taxi Driver Kino, obviously.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's just
that's
not even worth debating.
yeah, it was no discussion. I mean, I always
If
found
if I was out with someone and they said they didn't like Taxi Driver, I would leave without even paying the bill.
I mean, it's got the most incel moment in movie history is when he goes on a date and takes a chick to a porno theater. You really can't
That
top
that
that.
that's a moment where like I've probably not watched the movie at least once because that scene's so cringe that I just didn't want to tolerate.
Right. Well, I always thought what made Taxi Driver really important in the literally incel. I think a big inception of a lot of this is Holden Caulfield in Catcher in the
Yeah.
Rye, and I do think that Travis Bickle's the closest we've gotten to like Holden Caulfield in a movie with the
I was
monologues and
actually
everything.
thinking before we were recording, yeah, I doubt it's included, but I think it is a good incel movie. Is Psycho.
Agreed.
The themes of it, him being sexually repressed, his mother, I think all that's straight incel stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right too. Norman Bates is like a literally me all the way.
I,
Yeah.
I think he's the first incel I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, we'll just say like Falling Down and King of Comedy. That would have been Kino.
Yep.
Fight Club's Kino, obviously. That's the next
Yeah.
one. There's really no debate about Fight Club. That might be. I mean, this one and the next one these might be the two definitive ones. That and then American Psycho.
Yeah.
I mean, those are yeah.
And what's funny about them is that they're both power fantasies to a certain extent, while also mocking the nature of a power fantasy. Where you watch them as an incel and you want to be these people who are horrible, and the movie's showing you they're horrible, but you still idolize them anyways in a weird sense.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about both movies is like Fight Club, as you get older, when you first see it, you like really like Tyler Durden, and then you get older and you're like, oh, he's the villain.
And
Like,
then you get a little bit older and you just stop caring and you still
yeah, you're still like,
you
well, this
still
guy's
want to
pretty
be that.
cool. Yeah.
You're 30, you're like, you know what? I don't care that he blew those buildings up.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like why would I go back to being that fuck? Remember, like
Well,
Edward Norton's character like did insurance claims or some shit. He had to fly across
I
the
think
country to
so.
check cars. It says like screw that. Like
It's so funny because I've been watching cowboy movies with my grandfather, and he knows all the movies, all the actors. He's telling me the history of all of it. And it hit me that he has literally me and that generation when they're watching cowboys, when they watch Lee Van Cleef
right.
or Clint Eastwood, they're watching it like, yeah, that would be me.
Next up,
And that never clicked for me before.
Apocalypse Now. I don't know where to put this because I don't really think of it as an
It's
ins.
just not an incel movie.
I
It's
mean,
Kino, but it's not an incel
I
movie,
mean,
I
I
don't
guess
think.
the main character he doesn't have sex
Yeah.
throughout the movie, and he's doing the voiceover.
And the PTSD and the alcoholism are kind of incel-ish type.
Well, what I if you think about it one way, it's a literally me character traveling down a river to go find the
Yeah,
alpha Chad. He has to
that is
go
true.
he has to go kill the alpha Chad to I'm gonna say Sigma because I don't think the entire movie falls into the category.
Yeah, that's what's tough.
The Shining.
That's Kino.
Yeah,
It's
there
not incel at all. It's a
but
married man with a child, but
Jack is a literally me though. Two scenes in
definitely.
particular. When she comes to tell him about Danny and he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And White Man's Burden, Lloyd. White Man's Burden. Those are the two.
I think, unfortunately, Jack Torrance, only the Kubrick version might be the most relatable character in a horror movie for me.
Oh, totally.
Like when you're working an overnight shift, you're like 6 hours into the 12-hour stretch, and you're just like
Yeah, a coworker
freaking out.
a coworker locks you in the freezer or something. Open the fucking door.
That it's every line that he has in the movie is hysterical. Every moment is like it's so funny that it's not a comedy because it is so much funnier than
It's
anything to me.
there's two Kubrick in Kino now, so I guess we were underrating the Kubrick incel uh influence because I even think Barry
Yeah.
Lyndon could be thrown in here on some level as a literally me.
Yeah.
The next one, this is going to be a tough one. We when we first became friends years ago, this was one of the movies we discussed the most, oddly enough, and I think it's become completely culturally relevant. It was a bigger deal when we were younger. Elephant by Gus Van Sant.
It's such a funny movie. I guess.
Yeah, no, it's one. It's like he made the greatest comedy of the 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of shows the failure of the movie is that like it's a school shooting movie and it's funny.
Yeah, when they
It
take the
probably shouldn't be funny.
when they take the shower together.
That's the thing is that like I actually think the scenes where they're shooting people are like
Oh,
visceral and
the
scary. The
last
ending's great.
the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes is like the best school shooting that's ever been done in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes it so tough is like there's components to the movie I really like. It did
Yeah,
have an effect on me watching a movie at such a young age.
it's
But
scary.
what's that's you know, it's legitimately scary. And
Yeah.
when the kid sees his dad outside the school at the end, it's emotional. It works, I think. But when it's just showing the kids like listening to metal music and then they play Doom and then they get in the shower and kiss because they're gay, and it's just throwing every cliche about why people thought school shooters existed into two characters. It is so comically like just it's just poorly handled. It's irresponsible and hysterical.
I'm gonna say normie, although this could be in beta.
Yeah, I give it beta plus
Okay,
because it's like mixed.
let's keep it in beta then.
Okay.
Because I don't want to give Gus Van Sant any. Although his Norman
Yeah,
Bates and his Psycho remake is maybe even more of an incel
he
than
is.
the original one. Vince Vaughn's Norman Bates. he actually masturbates when he's peeking through the hole and shit. Like,
Actually, speaking of literally me incel movies, there should be a Brawl in Cell Block 99. I think would be a good fit for the
that's a
list.
good call. That's yeah, Vince Vaughn. That's someone that's not seen
He's an
enough.
incel.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's the thing that's like,
He should have been in Joker, you know, because he worked with Todd Phillips. He could have been
that
one
would
of
be
the
cool.
guys in he not play the Joker, obviously, but I would have liked him in that movie.
Well, I want Vince Vaughn as Joker's friend in the movie, but like he's not playing like he's playing a typical Vince Vaughn
Yeah.
character in the Joker
Well, like
movie.
Taxi Driver, the Peter Boyle role, the guy's like, you need to get
Yeah,
laid or
wizard.
something. You know, yeah, the wizard. Yeah, he could be like that character. Um, her's a Kino movie.
Yeah,
He's
I do think it's an incel thing.
I agree. He is an incel because he doesn't have
Yeah,
actual sex in the movie. And if you are an incel, you
yeah.
would date that girl. You would date the Samantha AI.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a problem when you watch
Yeah,
that movie is that you're like, "Oh, this is better than any girlfriend I've ever had."
yeah.
That's the
Oh, the bar's not high.
that's the disturbing implication when I first saw that movie that freaked me out was like immediately when you're like, "Oh, this is like a perfect girlfriend."
Well, that's this scary, and I don't think it is the case. But the fact that it's a question is scary. Like, if AI or what are they called? The sex bots or whatever they make overseas now.
Right.
They got to a point where you could just like relationships no longer you don't need them. How many people would just give up because it's just not worth the trouble?
I think every man except for like
And that's what
chats.
scares me
Yeah, I think
because I'm gonna
every
be
guy.
in line, and how many people? What if it's sold out by the time I get to the
Yeah.
store? I can't buy my
It's
wife.
like trying to get a PS5. You
Yeah.
go to the store and you're like, listen, we're out of AI pussy.
Men are camped out in tents outside the Walmart. They're getting in fights in line.
Yeah, because there would only be like male versions left of the AI. Then you just have a friend.
It's Christmas morning. A 15-year-old boy opens it. Mom, you got me the wrong one. It's you got me the male AI
Well, you
sex
know,
bot.
thinking about this, I'm upset that Ex Machina isn't on here because that's
Yeah,
definitely an incel movie.
it
Like,
is. I'm shocked it's not because that's a pretty popular movie
I
too.
mean, Domhnall
Alex
Gleeson,
Garland's really blown up.
like his character is like maybe the ultimate tragedy of an incel in a modern movie. Like that movie's a
Yeah,
warning. We did a review of that years
he
ago,
got
and
what he fucking deserved.
you had a comment in that review we did that I love so much. You're like, "Do you think this movie's making a commentary on the morality of women?" And I sit down and I was like, "I do." And then we talked about it had the exact opposite message of Fury Road because we reviewed both movies
Yeah,
back to back. We're like, one movie is like women are the future, it's a good thing, embrace them, and the other one's like, nah.
don't listen to a word.
I say her Sigma.
I want to give it Kino, but I'm fine with Sigma. I
Let's
feel like
fuck it. Let's do Kino. It's Joaquin.
yeah, because I think thematically it fits in, and just the
Yeah.
quality of the movie is Kino, so it's hard for me not to.
Okay, so get this. Now Spike Jones and Kubrick have two films in Kino.
Okay, there's a competition now.
Yeah, Spike Jones snuck in there. I didn't think about it with her. I mean, I guess being John Malkovich, the Cusack character, there's
Yeah,
elements
definitely.
of a literally me
Well,
as
he
well.
has a wife, but he's a simp at the very least, so I think he overlaps.
The next up is Donnie Darko. It's at least Sigma, because
Yeah, it's a tough one because the history of the movie and all we know about it now compared to when it came out. Because
yeah.
in high school, the movie's Kino.
Oh
As an
yeah.
adult, I agree it's still Sigma. It's still a good movie, but it's hard to give it full credit when it seems like it was kind of just I hate the term saved in editing because every movie's saved
Yeah.
in editing
Yeah.
technically, but
Literally.
that really is the textbook example of a movie saved by edits,
Yes. Richard
and
Kelly,
it's
the
hard for me to
director's
go
cut.
Kino.
Well, Donnie Darko and Jake, the character, is Kino.
Yes.
But Richard Kelly's filmography unfortunately knocks this down, I feel.
Yeah, that's and it's almost fucked up because you should just judge the movie as it is, but with the director's cut, it's hard to judge it as it is because there's 2
Well,
versions.
also
You
Richard
see
Kelly
behind the
is
veil.
he is Donnie Darko. Like the character
Mhm.
Donnie Darko is Richard Kelly. It's a Richard Kelly impression. So I feel like he makes himself cooler in the movie than in real life, so it's like a fake thing in a way. I like you talk about him
Yeah,
being like the wizard behind the curtain, like you pull the
I
curtain,
was thinking that
you're
too.
like, oh no, you wanted to add that you were gonna add a different Joy Division song? Yeah, I say we go Sigma. I mean, I feel bad
And
about
we
that
gotta keep
because
up with the Phoenix Gyllenhaal. Speaking of rivalries showing up on the incel list, they're neck and neck.
Well, I feel I'm. Well, that's the thing. We have Goose. Goose
Yeah,
is.
Goose hasn't even gotten his chance yet. He got Drive, but that's all.
Yeah, we have Goose, Joaquin,
Oh
and
wait, shit.
Jake.
We do have two Geese. Yeah.
Yeah, Lars and the Real Girl. Well, okay, here's the
Yeah,
current
I forgot.
ranking. Let's catch up on current ranking.
Okay.
In Kino, we have Drive, Clockwork Orange, Adaptation, Taxi Driver, Fight Club, American Psycho, The Shining, and Her. In Sigma, we have Joker, Social Network, Nightcrawler, Apocalypse Now, and Donnie Darko. In Chad, we have Lars and the Real Girl. Normie is empty, and in Beta, we have Elephant.
That sounds right.
So Jake has two in Sigma, none in Kino, which I feel bad
Okay, and
about.
Goose has a Kino and
Goose
a
has
Sigma.
Goose has a Kino and a Chad
Oh, okay.
because Lars is Chad.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Joaquin currently is running away with this as he has a Kino and a Sigma.
I feel like Casey Affleck should probably get a chance too. I don't
Yeah,
know if Manchester by the Sea's on here, but
I think Edward Norton had an alternative career where he played more of these, but it's really only
yeah.
Fight Club. Oh wait, no, I put American History X on here. I take it back. Talk about a literally me. Kanye's favorite movie. Um, this one's tough because I feel like the internet would kill us if we didn't make it Kino, but I personally don't feel it's Kino. But Evangelion, End of Ava, that
It's tough for me as a movie. I it's tough
because
because
Shinji
I'm not.
is the.
Yeah,
I mean, Shinji is like the definitive anime, literally me in Silk. I mean, we even
in
joked
the
about
way
our
that
one
it's
friend. We were like, our one friend always wanted to be Shinji.
yeah. That is the thing is that the father issues, the dynamic of the eternal debate of Rey versus Ahsoka, the being attracted like the redhead that's media, all that stuff, the insecurity, the not wanting to make a move in life is hedgehog theory. It's all definitive incel. The movie, I've never been as big on it as other people as a fan. I like it
I'm
a
not
lot,
big
but it's
on
not my favorite anime or anything.
I'm not big on Ava as much as other people in general, even the series. And I mean, I'm not
Hmm.
saying I dislike Ava. I'm a fan of Ano. I like he worked on Shin Godzilla. Like, I think he's a great
Yeah,
incel. Um,
yeah. I guess for me, the issue with End of Ava is that it's got moments that are 11 out of 10, but the movie itself isn't not, or it's not 10 or 11 out of 10 for me.
I'm saying we go Sigma, even though we might get chewed out for it.
Yeah, I'll go Sigma plus.
Because the truth is too, I mean, you in particular, neither one of us like anime isn't our baseline either. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
as I get older too, it's less and less frequent that I watch anything remotely anime.
Yeah, so like more of our jam is like, yeah, we're like Taxi Driver, Fight Club kind of dudes. So I
Yeah,
understand with Ava, we might be a little bit off, but it gets the Sigma spot off reputation alone.
yeah.
The Batman by Matt Reeves. Now, Batman is an incel in that movie.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson is an incel in that, but I'm gonna say Normie is the perfect spot
I
for
would go
this.
beta for
Well, because I think the normies love this movie though.
that's true.
I think it's got a normie following. I think people think of him as this
Yeah.
modern incel icon, and they love that movie. So that's why I would say
That's
normie.
what I'm thinking is I think the quality of the movie is D level.
I
I think the
agree.
character's a D level character, and not Batman as a whole, but as portrayed in that movie is
Yeah,
pretty poorly
yeah, I
done.
hate Batman.
Um, the fact like they play that Nirvana song like
Oh,
on
it's
repeat is so
well.
funny.
Also, the Paul Dano character is also in it. The
Uh,
Riddler incel,
yeah,
the live stream.
yeah. Funny because people would tell me like, he's so scary because there's people like that out there. And I see the movie, and he's Daffy Duck. He's like a cartoon character saying Ave Maria and shit.
Okay, I'm thinking of between one and two. Pick one.
All right, two.
Okay, then he's beta.
Cool.
Okay, because I think it falls under normie because we're putting it in there with elephant. So we're playing some dangerous games right now. That's an equivalent with
It's to
elephant.
be fun, like a list. It's like they love Taxi Driver and Walking Phoenix. Their least favorite movies are Elephant and Batman.
That's the thing. The next one is Morbius. I say that's got to be in beta, despite the meme with
Yeah.
Matt Smith and the dancing.
Yeah, I've never seen the movie, but it seems beta. I would say similar to what you were saying with Batman, it's a normie meme. It's
Yeah.
Morbin time and all that is straight norm, but it's a beta quality. It's made by Sony. That's all we
Well,
really
the
need to
reason some
say.
of these movies fall in, like Elephant's the art house failed version, where like Batman's like a blockbuster failure of trying to cash in on a literally me. It's like
Yeah.
Matt Reeves trying to capture that, but he's not. Where like I feel like Joker was so much more successful,
Mhm.
and Batman's like the failed version of that experiment. Even though it got good reviews and a lot of people say they like it, if you just think about both movies, like Joker got like Oscar nominations and shit and made
Yeah.
$1 billion.
Well, like you said, a lot of people say they like the movie, but a lot of people lie.
John Wick, I don't know where.
I'm gonna say Sigma because I like it a lot. It's very enjoyable, but it is that derivative factor like Nightcrawler.
Yeah, because I'm honestly almost feeling Chad with John Wick. Because the director's name is Chad Stotowski or whatever too, so I'm like
It
I'm
can be an
feeling.
honorary Chad. It could be like a Chad with Sigma qualities.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in Chad for now. Because
Since it's made by a Chad, I think that's only fair.
well, I also just don't think I just don't think it's literally me enough. I just don't like John
Yeah, it's
Wick.
tough because I mean, it is. He's lonely and he has a puppy, and that's very relatable.
Right.
And like, imagine if you just got a puppy and someone killed it.
Yeah, I'd become the top assassin in the world. That's
Yeah, you'd
obviously what
punch
would
through the
happen.
concrete in your basement and then get your guns out.
That was another movie we watched together for the first time was John
Yeah,
Wick.
yeah,
Um,
that was fun.
okay, Nolan coming in swinging Memento. I think Memento is at least Sigma,
Yeah, it's
if
tough
not
because I don't know
Kino.
if it's a literally me movie, but it does have the incel appeal.
Yeah,
I
he's
think I'd say
go ahead.
I think Sigma
Yeah, I think
is
Sigma's
where I
fair too.
stand
Yeah,
on it.
he's definitely an incel in that movie. Okay, this is a funny one. Leon the Professional. I mean, it's it
That's
literally
a really funny
is
one.
it literally me
Just
pedophile? What's the
it's the thing. Like I don't like. Yeah, I strongly relate with this movie.
what's the
I
implication?
don't know why the other ones I just weren't quite there, but this one I really
I mean, I
related
get
to.
it. I get it.
Um,
It's a literally me movie, totally.
yeah. Well, the thing is it's like the damaged man who finds redemption in protecting an innocent uh woman. Typically, is the dynamic. Like Logan would probably be a better
Right.
equivalent, which I think would be better on this list probably. I don't know. It's been so many years since I've seen Leon that I really can't even
I
accurately judge
remember it
it.
vividly though. Remember how popular this movie was when we were younger?
Yeah,
This was I'm gonna say Chad.
that's cool. Yeah, because I really don't even trust my input on it because it's been at least 10 years for me.
Good time. One of my favorite
I'm torn between
movies.
Kino and Sigma.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies of the last like 10 years easily. I do think the Saft, like compare this to the Batman literally me to the Pattinson performance in this and this character.
Oh, I know.
It's like,
That's the thing when people are praising Batman, is like, are you kidding me?
yeah.
Because I'm sorry, like I think Pattinson. I'm not gonna say he was bad in the Batman, but he wasn't given anything to do.
Oh yeah, I don't even know if they wrote anything for him.
Yeah, that's what's weird is that the character just is so lifeless. The whole movie's just lifeless.
Yeah, it's like just look. Well, that's how I felt about those Planet of the Apes movies that Matt Reeves made, where people were
Yeah,
praising them, and I was like, "You killed this whole franchise. I love Rise of the Planet of the Apes
yeah.
so much." And then slowly, I gave less of a shit about that series because he just took all
And
the
when Rise
emotion
came
out.
out, I watched it a couple times a year. And then Dawn, I saw in theaters, and then right when it hit DVD, and never again. War, I saw in theaters. I bought when it came on DVD. Never even watched the DVD once.
Yeah, and
I think the issue.
we're both like hardcore Planet of the Apes fans too. I mean, like
Oh yeah,
when we were first hanging out, like Rise of the Planet of the Apes was like our shit. Like we were all
yeah, that
about
was like the
Caesar.
hype blockbuster movie for me because I think that was the summer I was a senior in college, so that was like the big release of the past year for me. I think the issue is that good artists do coke, and I'm pretty sure that Matthew Reeves just does Xanax.
I mean, to me, Good Times Kino. I don't think it
I'm cool
has
with that. It's hard to argue against it.
I don't think it has a lot of flaws except for like maybe the very ending doesn't work. The last
Mhm.
3 minutes. But everything before that, I mean, I would put it up there with the Scorsese stuff. I think it does play in the Taxi Driver or King of Comedy realm a lot better than Joker does, honestly, as a film. I think it captures that
Hmm.
sort of grit and just his character in that. I think is yeah, it's one of the great like incel term. I mean, because you got to think that's when Pattinson became a literally me. He never was before that.
Yeah.
You know, that was the moment. This is his Drive or his American Psycho, and I hope in the future he gets more characters like that. So I'm gonna go Kino. Okay, Goose is back in rotation. Blade Runner 2049. Now I know you don't love this movie,
Yeah.
but
There's a conflict there for me.
the K character played by Gosling does very much fall into
In the themes of the movie, it's almost like her. It's an incel
yeah,
movie through and through.
yeah, the
I
fake
think that's the only
girlfriend.
reason people like the movie, honestly, is because it's an incel movie.
Well, that is the best part of the movie.
Yeah,
Is him with the robot girl, the incel stuff, and then finding out she's not like that on its own. That stuff is all really good and well done, and then everything else around it, I think, doesn't work.
yeah, like the mystery, Deckard. I don't think anybody cares about any of that shit
Oh,
at
the
all.
second. Well, I remember sitting in the theater watching the movie, and the first like 45 minutes, I was like, "Damn, Villeneuve's pulling this off." I was sitting there like, "Shit, this has some Tarkovsky like filmmaking in it," and like Gosling hasn't been like this in a long time. Like really pulling off the drive thing, the stoicism, because I'd gotten tired of it, and I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
Gosling as a replicant totally makes sense." Honestly, one of the most like genius, and that opening scene with Dave Bautista is very good, where he goes to the house, and then it just slowly falls apart more and more as it goes, and then by the end,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, this is like Prometheus or some shit." Like,
That's my like, I don't like, people think that you if you're not a 2049 person, you either A, just don't want a Blade Runner sequel, or B, you just don't like it as much. But I think 2049 is a legitimately bad movie.
yeah, I mean, I
Hmm.
respect what some people like the cinematography and stuff by Deakins and all that. Like, I get a lot of that.
Yeah.
I do. I don't want to
It
downplay that stuff because, like, when you see Denny Villeneuve not work with him and you get like Dune and Arrival and they're the most
that's
bland looking movies ever.
and it has iconic stuff too, like, you look sad and, the joy with the projection looking at,
Yeah,
Kay with the fucked up face
yeah,
and all
that's
that,
one of the
like, it's
iconic
hard to
shots.
deny that stuff, even though I don't like the movie, I get how it has things that resonated
Yeah,
with
the
people.
sex scene with like the prostitute and her, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna say this is the first one that should be normie.
I could live with
I don't
that.
think this is
I'm personally
beta.
beta, but I think normie's fair.
Well, the thing is, I just don't think because it just has too many iconic things like Morbius, Batman, and Elephant
Exactly.
don't. That shot you're talking about with the bandage
Yeah.
on his face, that's one of the most iconic, literally me shots of the 2010s.
Right.
So I think it has to at least be normie. Like if we did beta, it would just be sacrilegious. I just don't think it works. Um, Whiplash. That's an interesting one.
It's funny because it's counterintuitive, but it makes sense. Because when I saw Whiplash, I was like, "That's fun." It's like, that makes sense." I'm going Kino on Whiplash.
Yeah, there really isn't anything to compare it to, is there? I don't think there's an like the like oh, it's
The
like
only thing
this
I
other
could
one.
think is the beginning of Full Metal Jacket. That's the only thing I could compare it to.
Full Metal Jacket's definitely another literally me that's not included on this list. Like Kubrick does definitely.
Yeah,
I don't think I thought how much Kubrick has this locked up.
and Full Metal Jacket also has a Joker in it.
Because yeah, that's the thing. Well, Private Pile is definitely
Yeah,
like
I'll never forget fucking Ant on Opie and Anthony. He called Jimmy. He said he looked like Private Pile.
um yeah, it's hard for me with Whiplash. I guess we'll just go Kino. I mean, fuck it.
Yeah, I know it's like the high bar we're letting in at the round table of incels, but I
Well,
think
I'm
it
just
deserves it.
laughing because it's above Nightcrawler and Social Network and Joker.
I think.
But
I think it's easily above Nightcrawler and Joker. Social Network, I do think there's definitely a discussion between those two.
yeah, we have to
They're
figure it
such
out.
different movies.
Next one is a movie I definitely don't like is Baby Driver by Edgar Wright, but Baby is an incel.
Yeah, I want my personal enjoyment of the movie's beta. I feel like normie's appropriate
I agree.
to file it
I
under.
think if 2049 is normie, so is Baby Driver.
Yeah, I'd say they're about equal quality.
Well, also, I mean, honestly, I would say 2049 and Baby Driver are better movies than Morbius and Batman. I'm not saying by a lot,
Yeah,
but They're more like
Well, they're
disappointing,
not.
mediocre. They're not terrible. Like Baby Driver has
Yeah,
good scenes. The opening scene to
right.
Baby Driver is really
Mostly,
good.
Baby Driver's mostly just kind of mediocre
Yeah, that's
for a
how
lot
I
of it.
feel. I
It's
don't
not
think it's
actively bad.
no. It was just disappointing because of the hype, and because that's the thing. The editing and
Yeah,
there's like 10 out of 10 scenes in that movie visually and
yeah,
stuff. It's just yeah, I kind of hate the last like 30 minutes of it, and I don't like
yeah.
him.
It's
I don't like him trying to do the Tarantino dialogue, like the shit with Jamie Foxx.
me either. I feel like the movie it just hurt because it was exciting to see an Edgar Wright. He was like, "Where's he going with his career? What's he gonna do now?" And then it was just to me, it just felt like the most blockbuster, typical movie he could have made.
Yeah, and it's his
And
best
that'd be
reviewed
fine if it was
movie.
really good.
I thought it was going
But
to be really good. I remember going to the theater
yeah,
excited because
I saw it opening night.
everyone's like, "Oh, Baby Driver, it's his best movie," and the opening scene kind of tricks you with bell bottoms and
Yeah,
the opening car chase with John Berthal's in it, and you're like, "This is going
and
to
we
kick ass."
we like that guy Ansel Elgort.
We did like him at the time, yeah. Fault in Our
Yeah,
Stars.
I'm so glad he didn't take off though. 'Cause could you imagine in regular conversation having to pronounce Ansel Elgort multiple
Yeah, he
times?
has had a weird career, like because we were talking about him being Han Solo back in the day, like he was our pick
Yeah,
before they got that
I
other
think even
guy.
Spider Man. I was talking. I want him to be Spider Man for a bit.
Well, I will say, if you go back to that movie, Fault in Our Stars, he is really good in that movie.
And that's a horrible role. Like,
Yeah,
that character is shitty, but
yeah,
he makes him likable
it's actually
based
one of
on
the
just good
best
acting.
high school males in a movie, probably at that time. His
Mhm.
performance. But he still works though. He was in the West Side Story remake, even though that bombed. And then
Oh, yeah, that's right.
he's trying to be Marlon Brando now or something. I don't know what he's doing. Because in Fault in Our Stars, he doesn't
Yeah.
play it that way. He's very charismatic.
That was a weird thing is he never really had another performance like Fault in Our Stars after it, where I thought he was that kinda actor, but then he was a very different kinda actor that just had a one-off performance that was great.
Man, I'm looking at this list. I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
Nice.
Um, Prisoners. This is definitely an
It's
incel movie. This is
it is. I want to go Sigma. I like the movie a lot. It's just not here's my issue. If, like, 7, we'll say,
right.
the S tier of those kinda movies, the movie doesn't compare to 7.
Well,
So
also,
I feel like it has to be Sigma.
I think I think that the Jake Gyllenhaal character, I believe his name was Loki.
I
Um,
think it was something like that.
Detective Loki is definitely literally me. So Jake
Mhm.
alone elevates this, and then Dano, this is his original audition for the Riddler.
Dano's literally me in that
like,
movie.
like he's giving the same performance in this that he gives us there. I think he does the same line in
It's so
Prisoners where he goes,
funny.
"No." He does that in Batman before he sings
It's so
all
funny
about.
because we used to make fun of that for
Oh yeah,
years.
that was a huge meme for us. We were obsessed with
Just
that.
Wolverine punching him in the face. "Where's my daughter?" "I don't know."
No, it was like an
He just
SNL
gets some
sketch.
sink broken over his head.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a Chad.
I can live with that, that's fair.
I mean, the movie itself, I say, is Sigma, but I just don't think it's literally
Yeah.
me enough to be a Sigma or
I think
Kino.
Villeneuve is an incel filmmaker, so the movie got thrown in there. Because I think the movie's kind of incel, like,
Oh,
it's so
yeah.
funny when you watch those motivational videos, they always have clips from Prisoners on there. It's always, like, Loki, like, putting the papers over his desk or whatever, going like this with his hair, and
Well, I'll say this:
it's some weightlifter talks about running.
outside of his first movie, I think was called Incendious. It's
Incendies, I think.
Incendies, which is a good movie. I still now, in retrospect, I think Prisoners is his best movie.
I always thought it was. I think he's a shitty sci-fi filmmaker. I think he's a good crime filmmaker.
Yeah, Sicario, thrillers.
Yeah.
Because Arrival, I remember liking the first 45 minutes, and then I really didn't like the plot twist. I thought it was like a kind of a crappy Black
Yeah.
Mirror. And then it was all claimed. And then 2049 and Dune, like he's on this thing. And I've not liked these science fiction movies he's been doing. But I don't think.
Yeah.
But as a crime thriller, this was the best police procedural that had come out in a long time when it came out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes me so, conflicted on Villeneuve is, like, I pretty much hate him in his current state. I have no interest in anything he
I
does.
feel the same way, yeah.
But if he announced a movie that was, like, some crime movie about drug runners or a murder mystery or something, I'd probably watch it.
You know, it's funny. I know we're going to get so much shit from people because we're like, yeah, Villeneuve sucks. 2049 End of Ava isn't Kino.
Elephant's funny.
Yeah, we've made so many mistakes already.
That is funny.
I mean, yeah, Prisoners is on the edge of Sigma. We might have to go look at that again, but I'm gonna put it in chat
Okay,
for now
yeah.
for sake of American History X. I mean, come on. it's at least Sigma.
Yeah.
If
What's also in terms of modern racism, because that's the thing, like a lot of racism movies that are good are like Slave Times or World War II or something. How many modern movies are there about like modern acts of racism that land it and then do it well? I can't think of many
that
other
have a
examples.
racist lead character too.
Yeah.
That's also very rare. Usually, a modern movie about racism is the leads are affected by racism.
You're right, like Spike Lee, like Do the Right Thing or something.
But to make a movie where the main character is the racist, I think is what makes this and humanizing that character, which I think is the bold thing. I mean, the fact that the movie
Yeah.
starts with him saying, "Put your, the curb stomping with the jaw," and then at the end you're supposed to care about this guy when he's crying in a bathroom and stuff. That's a
Yeah.
really tough. I
But
mean,
imagine that pitch meeting.
well, yeah, and just being a filmmaker, you know what I mean? Because the guy disowned the movie. The guy who
Yeah.
made the movie took his name off of it, and he never really did anything much after. And this was such a huge fucking movie in the
They're gonna
2000s.
do a sequel, American History Y. They canceled.
Um, I don't know if the movie itself is Kino. I think it's aged poorly in a lot of ways.
That's the I
There's
feel like
sequences, that are Kino.
that's the thing, like, I haven't watched the movie in full in a long time, and I
Me,
don't want to. I actually want to preserve the memory of it as this
yeah.
classic. Like, Fight Club, you can watch, and it's gonna be the same, if not better. But back in the day, American History X and Fight Club were kind of anomalous,
Oh,
like,
totally. It was that
they were those
blockbuster
2 kinda
era.
movies. Yeah,
Everybody rented the DVD of American History. I mean, I remember people telling me all the time when I was a teenager, like guys, and they told me it was their favorite movie. It was a common answer. It was
exactly.
like Fight Club or American History X. It was
Curb
always.
stomping scene was iconic.
Well, I think back now, the best scene of the movie for me is that black and white one where he's having the conversation with Elliot Gould, like the mom's dating him, and they're talking about
Mm,
they're having like a real conversation about Jews and stuff like that. And like there's scenes like that are great that I think are
yeah.
timeless. But some of the other stuff with the Eddie Furlong character and the other stuff I think is has aged in the same way like Requiem for a Dream has.
Yeah, that's a sad one that's aged just like
I know.
Aronofsky in general is just a tough sell
I
for
know. I
me.
used to think that was like a 10 and now I'm like, is this a 5? It's really
I have
gone
no
down
clue,
that
yeah.
much. Like I think about Requiem for a Dream now and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what was he thinking?
I think speaking of movies like saved by editing, I wonder like that was saved by the score being so good.
Yeah, no, because all you
If you
think
take the
about at the
music
end,
out,
yeah, ass to ass and all that stuff at the end. If it doesn't have the two towers shit.
so much too is I forget the director's name right now, which is irritating, but the guy that made Perfect Blue and
Oh yeah,
oh
Satoshi Kon.
yeah, yeah, and then you realize like he's just obsessed with him and constantly trying to remake his movies and all that. And then you think about, like, Black Swan with
I
Perfect
know.
Blue, and
Well, because
it's hard not to dismiss Aronofsky for
it's the
me, and I
David
like
Lynch.
him.
It's the
I've
David
always
Lynch
liked
thing
him,
too.
but
Like Pi is just a Eraserhead.
yeah.
I mean, it straight up is. By the way, well, I don't know why Eraserhead isn't on here, but
Yeah, that is weird.
Pi is straight up Eraserhead. Then yeah, he remade Perfect Blue like 3 times. And took stuff from a because yeah you go because even
And
Nolan stole from that guy Paprika. He
yeah,
just
and
he
well, even David Lynch, he's always remaking all of his movies after, like, Fire Walk with Me are remakes of The Wizard of Oz in their own way or
That's true.
Persona, but they all feel unique. Aronofsky movies, Black Swan does not feel unique to me from
I'll
Perfect
I'll say this:
Blue.
Edward Norton in American History X is Kino, but I feel like the movie's either Chad or Sigma. I don't think it's Kino.
Yeah, for me, it's like Leon, where it's been so long, but I've seen clips of this at least. So I want to say Sigma, but I really don't have a full judgment on it.
Let's go
So
with
I'm pretty flexible.
Chad and just be safe for
All right.
now. Because like I said, because we only have a few left, so we can go look over and say, okay, did we do this
Yeah.
correctly? Because this has to be the definitive list, even though it doesn't have King of Comedy and Eraserhead.
Yeah.
Okay, Buffalo 66. You've never seen this movie.
Nope.
So I'm just gonna put it in Chad. And then we'll just move on. This is a funny one for us. 500 Days of Summer. Talk about something that aged weird.
Yeah, I really back in the day I would have been Sigma for sure.
100%. There
Um
wouldn't have been a debate about it. It would have been like this used to be like a 9.5 out of 10 movie. Well, because
yeah,
Zoe Deschanel has dropped off so much.
yeah.
New Girl, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt even. and
Yeah, he's just a weird e-celeb now.
and Mark Webb too, the director.
Yeah.
Everybody who worked on
Well,
this.
so much of it too, even like the Smiths references, aged like milk. The general twee tone of it. The movies like this, it makes you realize how other races see white people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it is such a like, and I hate saying it, but it's such a white,
Yeah.
corny ass movie.
I think what the kids would say, milk toast.
Yeah,
It's a milk toast movie. I mean, I don't want to put it in
I
normie.
want to, I want to give it a generous check. Because it resonated with me when it came out when I was at the age of the target demographic.
I
And now that
agree.
I've aged out of that demographic, and what does it take for a movie to age gracefully for 10, 20 years?
Also, I saw
You
this
know,
movie like a dozen times and liked it before it aged bad. So I also think that too. And I
that's
also
the
think the
thing.
movie captures, like you talked about age, maybe better than any movie I can think of, except for a few exceptions. That thing where after you get dumped and you're in denial about it and you're trying to get the girl back, and then when you realize it's not
Oh,
happening.
that's the worst phase.
I think that alone at 500 Days of Summer elevates it above being a norm because it does
Mhm.
capture that part perfectly.
Yeah.
And
And
it,
and I the editing of the movie and the way that it's told out of sequence is really cool
well,
still.
you know what hurt this for me? I just think Ruby Sparks is a much better version of this movie
Yeah, I agree.
in
Ruby
every
Sparks for
way.
me I would borderline put Ruby Sparks at Kino. I don't think the whole movie quality is Kino
Well,
level,
the
it's more Sigma.
filmmaking really isn't Kino, the
But the
directing.
thing is that the message of the movie and the
Yeah.
way it conveys it is Kino.
Yeah.
So I think it has an importance of Kino
Yeah,
status.
I wish Ruby Sparks was on here because that's a very important one. Okay, we're going to
I
put.
wish anybody but us had seen the movie. I'm so heartbroken because
I
like,
know. I shipped that movie so hard back in the day. I was like, I told everybody, I was like, it's a redheaded Zoe Deschanel. I told you that, and you're like, what?
just ran out the door.
Yeah, no, you were like out of there. Like Speedy Gonzalez. You came back the next day and your pants were stained. Just masturbating all
There's just a
night.
hole in the front of the pants from
And
the
I'm like, she's
force.
she's the granddaughter of a Kazan. He hated the communists. You were like, oh, give me more of that. Yeah, I'm gonna put 500 Days of Summer in Chad. I just can't put it in
Yeah.
Normie.
Yeah, it's tough because I feel like a level-headed person watching the movie today would, but I'm not.
I'm too
I have
nostalgic.
exactly.
I
I'm
can't
too
put.
great for good memories the movie gave me.
Okay, Zodiac. Tough one because the Robert Graysmith
Yeah,
character, and we're playing with Fincher again. So Fincher now has two
yeah.
films on the list.
That
He,
does make sense. I actually think Gone Girl will be a good, movie to add to this. I think that's an incel movie for sure.
um, I don't know where to put Zodiac. I'm conflicted because the
I'm
movie
thinking
itself,
Sigma.
the movie's pretty great,
Yeah,
and all the
that's
and you could even say the Zodiac character. There's a bit of a literally me play with that with the way they communicate
yeah.
with him and stuff. I mean, there is a
Well, I mean, the Batman is kind of making the Riddler into Zodiac even.
agreed. Yeah, I think the Batman's is a bad remake of Zodiac.
Yeah.
I think that's
It's
very
actually funny how obvious it is too when you're
yeah.
watching the
Well,
movie.
that's all these guys like Matt Reeves and them, or even
Oh,
Snyder.
yeah.
Sometimes they always try to be David Fincher, and that's like always
Yeah.
there's all these directors that are like, I'm gonna be David Fincher, and it's like you're not David Fincher,
Yeah.
and then they get the
And their idea of
praise.
being David Fincher is just doing the same shit Fincher did.
Well, they praise him too. Like if a world where David Fincher didn't exist, I could get the purpose of like, oh yeah, Denny Villeneuve's great and all that. But in a world with David Fincher, it's like, well, why do I give a fuck about this guy or this other guy? Like
Yeah.
this dude's out there, like he's already done it, so it's sort of hard
To
to.
me, yeah, it's like you're in a really good cover band. It's like, hey, this guy sounds just like Paul McCartney and he looks like him. That's cool, but Paul McCartney's still better than the guy that sounds and looks like Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Let's go Sigma. I feel like you can't
It's
put
a
it.
tough one, but
I don't
I
think you
think
can put
Sigma's
Fincher and Chad though. It just isn't right.
no.
Because
No,
we
and I wanted to say Kino, but something about it makes me not want to put it in Kino. I can't
well,
rationalize.
it's not 100% literally me.
That's you know what it is. That's the thing because the movie's kind of split up with different characters,
Yeah, it's like a
so only a
television show.
portion of and that's not a flaw of the movie. But when ranking on an incel list, when only part of it's applicable, that makes it hard for me to wholly commit
Well,
to
because
putting it to
Prisoners is in
Kino.
Chad, and I have to say it's above
Okay,
Prisoners.
easily.
And I think Jake's maybe even more of an incel in Zodiac, even though he has the wife and kids than he
Yeah,
is in. Okay, this one we're
I
going.
mean, lots of marriages are sexless. He could be an incel.
Yeah, we never see. Yeah, that's the thing. Next one, another Charlie Kaufman, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Now, this is a movie that's aged weird too in its reputation back in the day to how we
Yeah,
feel about it now. This used to be thought of as like the best movie of the decade
yeah.
for a long time.
I have to stand by it. I think I'm still gonna say Kino on it.
It's hard not to
It
give
has
it Kino.
aged.
Yeah,
The thing is that when I watch the movie, the magic still works. When I think about the movie, I think I see dust
I
on it,
know.
and
That's how it
but then you're
feels.
watching and the scene where the house is falling apart, or when he's
That
like you're running through in that shot. It's too
See,
good.
I had the
It
same
still
discussion
works.
with my friend though, and he shut me down bad though because he threw an argument because I brought up that scene too. And I was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, what about the scene when the house is falling apart and they talk?" And I was scared. And he's like, "What? You mean the best scene of the movie?" And that almost just deflated my entire feeling because I was like, "Oh yeah, I pinpointed that scene." And he
Yeah.
also made his point. He's like, "It's a movie that's great on rewatch, but it's also like a negative experience on rewatch." But I agree, just for what it is, because yeah, it has too many. It's like what I always loved about the movie is that it's like one of the most ambitious films probably ever written in scripting
Yeah.
form. But then it's
Also,
somehow
the concept too of wanting to forget somebody and the way
yeah.
that it's communicated,
Well, it's just this
um,
huge movie, and then it's somehow very coherent and kind of intimate and
and intimate.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a small movie. It's about these intimate scenes, yet when you think about it conceptually as like a science fiction story,
And
it's
I
like
would actually use Charlie Kaufman as a counterpoint to it, where looking at him trying other things like his 2 most recent movies, Anomalisa and I'm Thinking of Ending Things, you see the bad version of such ambition.
yeah,
And
what
so,
this
like,
movie
watching
could have
this
been.
movie, like, I can see those movies and be like, "Yeah, this is bad," even though I love this director or
Well,
filmmaker or
well,
director-writer, but watching that
right.
movie, even now that I'm not a modern day Kaufman fan, it still works for me.
Well, also, if we're going the Pixie Dream Girl thing, the 500 Days of Movie Spark, this is the
Yeah,
definitive. Like Kate Winslet's
exactly.
performance, she,
Hair even, like, back before that was a trend.
yeah, her performance, and yeah, that scene at the
Yeah,
house, that part where she's like, why'd you leave? It was something I said, and he's like, yeah, how you just said, then go. Then it just made me feel like a little kid. Those scenes are just fucking crushing. I
exactly.
mean, so yeah, I have to agree that it's still a
It's
Kino.
like you see it as a teenager, literally me, then you watch it 15 years later, it's even more literally
Yeah,
you.
you're
It's literally you in
oh,
high
him
definition
wearing
now.
the beanie and shit, the
Yeah,
character. I mean, the sweater. I mean, it's so dead on. It's like and Jim Carrey. It's weird because he got puss in real life. He does scream this incelness as a
yeah.
person. It's
I
like a
think it's because he
big
has
thing.
depression,
Yeah, I think that's part of it. He's a sad
so you
boy.
feel that darkness.
Because I think
Yeah,
Joel's one.
unfortunately, sad boys are in taste now,
Yeah,
so
Joel's one of the OG sad boys. The
well, you know what sucks with
character.
the sad boy trend is that they don't actually want someone who's in touch with their emotions or is sad or has issues, and you shouldn't because that's not a
Yeah,
healthy state of
toxic.
being all the time. They just want someone who pops Xanax.
Well,
They just
they want a really hot guy
with
that
tattoos.
yeah, that is a sad boy, but he's not actually a
It's
sad
an
boy.
aesthetic.
Because an actual sad boy is like in his apartment alone. He's not going
That's
out.
the thing. I've tried the sad boy thing, like, I'll cry on dates and stuff or talk about trauma, and they don't like it. It
Yeah,
doesn't
no.
work.
Yeah, the next one really made me laugh that it was even on here, so I just threw it in Magnolia.
I get it because of Mackie.
Yeah, Frank TJ Mackey, totally. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that
like
part is in
he's like
Selkino.
the OG 4chan Reddit. I mean, it's the self help. I mean, he's Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
I mean, straight
Yes.
up, Jordan Peterson. I mean, it's respect the bloody cock and tame the
The thing
cunt.
the thing with the cunt.
Yeah, you have to go in and you have to tame it. Damn it.
The cunt,
I
that's a
will.
dungeon.
I will give PTA that because Magnolia is like a flawed as fuck movie, 3 hours and stuff. But the Frankie
Yeah.
Magic, he was so far ahead of the game. That's like 20 years ahead.
Well, that's how PTA used to be.
Yeah, like a genius. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's so sad about, like
I
I
love
haven't
that
even
we're
watched his
shitting.
most
I
recent
love we're
movies,
shitting on all these
but
directors. People over like PTA shit, Matt Reeves shit, Danny Villeneuve,
it's so
Charlie
funny.
Kaufman sucks now.
Well, some of these people,
We do,
that's what sucks, like, I
we don't
love
like
Charlie Kaufman. I
anybody.
loved PTA.
Yeah, no
Um,
Boogie Nights, Sydney, Magnolia, even Punch Drunk Love, Up to There'll Be
yeah, it
Blood.
was like Scorsese level shit.
Yeah, he was the. I mean, he was the guy, like a modern American filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like he was the dude. We were like, oh, well, this guy's gonna make masterpieces. That was the feeling. And I know
Right.
critically he's still thought of that way, but I haven't liked any of his movies. And I've seen, I mean, Inherent Vice, and we watched that.
That was the one that broke the camel's
that
back for
was like,
me.
that was, I mean, that was, I would rather watch Showa 3 times in a row.
It was a deal breaker. Like, it was like a check please moment
I
where,
mean,
like, somebody says
yeah.
something, you're like, "I'm out.
Owen
Fuck
Wilson was
you."
even in it, and it couldn't win us over. I mean, that was the thing.
Yeah.
It threw so many
I forgot to
Joaquin.
tell you this. Since I had COVID, I've been having lots of, lucid dreams, and in my most recent lucid dream, I was in Midnight in Paris with Owen Wilson. Instead of the woman, it was me, and it was incredible.
I don't. I mean, I guess
That would've
Magnolia.
been a good incel movie, actually.
I think Magnolia is at least a Chad.
I'm gonna s in terms of quality of the movie, I think Magnolia is as close to a 10 as you can get while being a 9.
Do you remember all of our
It's, like,
friends like on?
quintessential,
We have
like
that movie friend group on Facebook. I won't name any of them, but they
yeah,
were always on about Magnolia, and they all like the
yeah,
singing scenes and the scene. We're all like, that's the shit that makes it bad.
yeah.
Like that's the stuff that keeps it from being a 10. Like our one Scottish friend's like a serious film buff. I think he's even a professor and
Mhm.
stuff. And he was always like, some days I think this is the greatest film ever made. It's weird with Magnolia because there's moments where it's like, is this the greatest movie ever? And then there's other moments where it's like, is this the most indulgent piece of shit?
It's a double album of a movie.
Yeah, it's the White Album of like the Altman ensemble piece.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know where to
Uh,
put it. I'm lost on this one because Frank
I
T.J.
feel
Mackey is Kino, but the
I
movie.
feel Sigma, but I think Chad is totally respectable as well.
Yeah, I think we gotta do Chad. Maybe we'll revise it, but like if Jake Gyllenhaal was Frank T.J. Mackey, I think that would knock it up to Sigma.
Yeah.
Um,
If you put one of the Phoenix brothers in it, maybe that would've
well,
helped.
that's what I'm saying. It just doesn't. It well, also the whole movie. You know, it's the John C.
But
Riley and
I was just I think about moments from the movie all the time. I don't think about the whole movie or the overall story of the movie hardly ever.
well, the frogs too. Like that's not a literally me thing or anything. The
Yeah, it is. A bunch of Pepes falling down.
fair point. Actually, touche. I'll take that. Okay, here's one where I think you and I are the guys in this movie, and we used to joke about doing a remake of this because
We already talked about Elephant.
this is literally us weird science. I mean, I remember
Oh, yeah.
talking to you about that, being like,
You know.
we should remake that because like our hanging out, we were straight up Anthony Michael Hall and whoever the fuck that
Yeah.
other guy was in that movie. And the thing where they wear the bras and they have the Barbie and they create a woman. I mean, this is like somehow John Hughes like kind of his most underrated movie in a weird way.
It might be his funniest movie.
I think it's maybe his best directed with special effects and stuff too. It's kind of
Yeah.
like lost in the shuffle, but there's like really cool stuff in it visually.
Yeah, and he doesn't do that often in his other movies. That's what's so impressive about it, and, like, the way he manages the sci-fi with the comedy.
Yeah.
It's really well balanced. Like, I think I gotta go Kino on it.
Yeah, because they have to create like the perfect girlfriend because they can't get them.
That's the
And
thing.
then
It's
they have
the
to
themes of
cosmically
it.
fight like monsters from
And
other dimensions.
how many movies on this list I can think of Fight Club off the top of my head, and, adaptation a little, but how many of them have a bromance?
That's the thing. It's two incels.
Literally us.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna let's say Kino for now. Maybe we'll knock it down to Sigma because it's above Joker right now.
That's what's tough is, like, it's 10 out of 10 for what it is, but that doesn't mean it's as good as Taxi Driver.
No, that's the thing. It is the anomaly on the list. If you look at
Yeah.
the Kino list right now, the weird science is in there. It's fucking hilarious. I
I'm
mean,
just
it's
imagining, like, the typical, like, video essays on YouTube watching, like, they didn't like Batman, but they put weird science at the top.
that's why I hate those fuckers.
Oh, yeah,
That's
no,
why
but that
I
it's
hate
just
film
sad.
Twitter and film essayists on YouTube and all that where
They killed it.
they'll make those the letterboxed community, the
Yeah.
people who like got into Criterion 5 years after the fact that it mattered anymore, the A24 people that make those that make these
Yeah.
video. I remember this one video I said like what the Batman did that Spider-Man Homecoming couldn't do, and all it was about was like the cinematography of Batman versus a Marvel movie, and
It's
that
just
was
the
an argument.
gentrification of film discussion.
Yeah, if we're in a world where the Batman, because I remember a Matt Stone quote where they did the season of South Park where they ripped on Star Wars like member berries, And he was in an
Yeah,
interview and they asked him about it. And he said, no, we don't get to live in a world where New York Times gives that movie a good review. I won't accept it. That's how I feel. If we're in a world where like
yeah,
Batman's Kino now, I'm not part of this community anymore. You guys have fucking lost me.
exactly.
Like, I don't like, fuck all of you. I'm sure you guys all think blue is the warmest color, is great too, and yet you shit on Only God Forgives. I'm not having it. Weird Science is a
Yeah.
far superior movie to the Batman, but the Batman has good dark cinematography. Like, it's these people that are obsessed with cinematography. It's all the fuck they care about.
You know,
That's it.
I sent you this French article. I don't know if you read it, but it was brilliant how it broke it down. Where it said like a A24 specific, like Hereditary and all that, and
Mm-hmm.
what do they call it? Elevated. It's so pretentious. Elevated horror. And it said it's not about a lack of jump scares. It's not about sophistication or deeper themes than any other horror movie. It's classist. They're told if you want to be a member of the cultural upper class, these are the movies that we praise. So if you're going to be among the elite of film discussion, you're going to say the same things about the same movies that we tell you to. And it has nothing to do with quality, it has nothing to do with artistry or maturity. It's all just fashion.
Well, that's the thing. This is like, I would say the Batman's like the My Chemical Romance of like superhero
Well, let's
movies.
not let's not be mean to my cam. I do hate that I hated them all through high
I
school and
know.
college, and now that I'm like nearly 30, I'm like, actually, they were pretty good.
There is that feeling. I know.
Now
I've
that
had
it's
the
like
same.
embarrassing
Yeah.
to like them at my
Yeah.
age, like, damn it,
I've had the same. Well, it's that one guy in the not Gerard Way, but the guy who basically wrote all the music.
Frank. I think
Yeah,
I know there's a guy named Frank.
he's talented, I will say, musically, when I go back, because he's
Yeah,
done some solo stuff post them that I've liked a lot better than, because
that's
I think back now it was like it's just kind of their guitar riffs and the stuff that they did that has aged well.
yeah.
The rock aspects of MCR have aged really well, oddly enough.
Yeah, because I don't think the songwriting honestly is that
Oh,
good. I think the
terrible.
lyrics are pretty trash,
I think
honestly.
that's all
But the
Gerard Way
songwriting in
stuff.
terms of composition,
Yeah.
in terms of like the attitude, like I don't think that like the Black Parade is a particularly good album. I think it's a very mixed bag. But when Famous Last Words comes on, it's a really talented band at their best. And
Yeah,
I hate to admit that as a hater, but they're good.
yeah, they were a good band. It was like they were a good band with like a hack frontman.
Yeah,
That's
which I Gerard Way is literally me tier,
oh yeah.
especially like after he put on the weight and all that.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
he's
No,
a cool guy.
no,
I like him.
he's definitely in a Sigma status as a real life.
As a human being, I have no issue with Gerard Way. As a
No.
frontman, not quite my tempo.
Yeah, that's the thing, but yeah, it's just this obsession with to watch these video essays of like talking about Batman like it's a deep movie or Dune, where I'm like, this is so surface level, man. There's nothing here.
Yeah,
You just you because they're propping these people up, these directors as geniuses, like they are Bergman or it's like these guys aren't geniuses. Like
yeah.
I'm
I have a term
sorry.
for them. I call them fauteurs,
Yeah, that's
like
the thing.
FAUXTEURS, because they're not auteurs.
Like I'm not trying to be like, oh, they're not as good as the best but it's insane. It's like you just there's levels to these things. I'm sorry, there just
Yeah.
is. You have to accept that. Like,
Well, if Denis Villeneuve is the highest caliber of filmmaker that we have, then like you said with Trey, like I can't live in that world. I refuse to accept
you
that.
refuse to. Yeah, it's like,
Even at its best, even Prisoners, which is a movie like 8.5 out of 10
yeah,
for me,
great
probably.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah, I like it a lot. Sicario, good movie. But even him at his best is an A plus. It's not S status. At his best, he was a B plus director.
yeah, that's I agree. Okay, the next one is The Matrix. So this is interesting.
That's
I mean,
Kino.
Matrix has to be Kino, right?
Yeah, the trench coats,
Yeah,
smack my bitch up. Neo, Keanu. He's an incel. Him as a person, but also like on the list, he's racking up a few here
yeah,
too
he's
with
got
John
John
Wick and
Wick.
this.
Yeah, it'd be funny to switch some of the roles in these movies, like Keanu and her, Joaquin Phoenix in The
Um,
Matrix.
I was thinking instead of Joaquin, Gyllenhaal.
Oh, in The Matrix,
Yeah,
he would be a good Neo. Yeah, if he was old
yeah,
enough at the time to play Neo, I
that is the
agree.
issue.
Well, the thing was they did want Johnny Depp, and it does make sense that Wachowski's in that movie with Johnny Depp at
Definitely.
the time. Because as much as I'm mixed on Johnny Depp, it totally makes sense him being Neo in 1999.
Yeah.
Like 100%, especially the early scenes, and even him and Carrie Ann Moss in the movie, I could see. But But I also think Keanu having that like that kind of that length to him. He was taller than
Yeah.
Johnny Depp, and then now we found out, obviously he can do action really well. His stoicism has really, but I mean, I don't know if there's a more literally me scene than the fight with him and Morpheus, the training thing. That's like this, like the Sigma's training you. Do you think that's
The
air you're
alpha
breathing?
incel.
Yeah, I mean, also talk about movies that's aged well. There was a point a few years ago I thought with the sequels and stuff that The Matrix would drop off. I watched a couple years ago. Matrix slaps.
Yeah. I watched all the movies when the newest one came out, and it holds up really well.
Yeah, the first movie is aged shocking, like in the same way Fight Club has and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's still legitimately like one of the best action movies ever. And when you watch it, you still think like, man, these Wachowskis, they were really talented back when they had balls.
Yeah.
Because it really is. It's visionary film. I know it got overhyped and everybody could say, but it really was like a visionary piece of filmmaking at the time, and they could
For sure.
never.
Especially like a blockbuster movie, like it's really impressive. And it was forward thinking too. Where it's like, oh, this is where blockbusters are headed
The
now. This is the
digital
level of
age.
quality we can expect.
Yeah, I think it's the first digital movie, not shot on digital, but the first movie that felt modern and digital to me is The Matrix.
Yeah.
And I think movies have looked like that movie now for about 20 years.
Mhm.
Like, I'll put it this way. I think when producers saw this movie, that's when somebody said, when he flew at the end, someone said, oh, we can do Spider-Man now. I think
Yeah,
that
that
was the
makes sense.
mindset. I think people thought, like, oh, you can do superhero movies now. I actually think it's like, it's not thought of as such, but I actually think it's a quintessential comic book film
Yeah. Yeah,
in
it's
a
very
big way.
comic booky.
Yeah, and I think it created the modern aesthetic that led to us getting like comic book movies. Okay, the last one on our list from this ranking, The Graduate. I mean, we have to go Kino, right? He does have
Yeah,
sex in
definitely.
that movie, though. That's the thing. He's
He
fucking
has
Mrs.
way too
Wrong.
much sex to be literally me. That's for sure.
Yeah, like, yeah, a hot mom, and then you get the daughter. I mean, I wish that was me, but it's like pretty far. But
the,
when
the
he's,
character in his day-to-day interaction, like the moment where he holds the door for the crowd of people.
well, I think about the stuff where he's just floating around the pool
Yeah.
and drinking beer. I mean, that is literally
Yeah.
me. That's,
The opening sequence at the airport.
Ferris Bueller almost should be in here because Cameron is an incel.
Yeah.
Cameron
Yeah.
Cameron is very much. Ferris obviously isn't, but that also adds to it. Being
Yeah. Ferris Bueller, it was John Hughes's Fight Club.
yeah. Oh yeah, I say graduate. I mean, God, it sucks because I almost feel like it almost is in Sigma because it's not totally literally me, but I just don't know if I can not put graduate in Kino because
That's the
it's
thing, the
such a Kino
quality.
movie, yeah.
Come here, buddy.
And I
Come
think
on.
young men, like I think when you're a young man, that's like such an important
I
movie.
guess the movie too. It's almost like an incel hits the jackpot.
Yeah,
It's
it's
it's it's a wish fulfillment fantasy.
I see you're getting some
Sorry.
pussy right now. Okay, I'll do the one
He
two
likes his
thing
tail to get
again.
scratched.
Okay, 1 2. You have to pick a number. One of them is Kino. One of them is Sigma.
All right, I'll go one.
Okay, one was Sigma. I
Okay.
flipped it. Okay. Okay, we now have our list. We can go over it and we'll see if we need to make any changes. This is excluding the
Mhm.
films that were left out that we think belong. But we mentioned so many movies, this would be gigantic. The definitive list would take hours.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a process. So this is
We have
30.
to do a part two if this gets many views anyhow. So
I think that's true.
gotta
Yeah, we
set
could
something
do.
up for the sequel.
That's true. Yeah. Incel list too. Okay, so let's start with beta and work up to Kino. That way
Okay, yeah.
we can pop off the top here. Okay, in beta we have Morbius, the Batman, and Elephant. I think that's solid.
Yeah.
Normie, we have Baby Driver and Blade Runner 2049.
Okay, that's good.
Chad, we have Magnolia, 500 Days of Summer, Buffalo 66, American History X, Prisoners, Leon the Professional, John Wick, and Lars and the Real Girl. Those are all really good movies.
Yeah, that's
I
the thing. Like, to be fair, like even though it is B status, Chad is
Yeah, we're saying it's a Chad movie. Like John Wick's a Chad
yeah.
movie, Prisoners is a
That's not
Chad
an
movie.
insult.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a high like they're B
We call
pluses.
ourselves Chads, so
Yeah.
like these movies are on our level.
Yeah, this is a quality of a movie. Like I think I could make a 500 Days of Summer or Lars and the Real Girl. I'm not making Taxi Driver.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I'm not at
yeah.
that level.
It's the obtainable girl in a TV show where you crush on her more because you know you can get her.
Yeah, totally. It
Well, you
makes
tell yourself you know you can get her.
well, also just none of these movies like I love John Wick, I love Leon American Hero, but they all kind of have this weird thing where they've aged in weird ways. All of these movies on chat.
Yeah. Well, there also has to be certain standards. Like if John Wick is the greatest action movie ever made, then you're discrediting so many movies that are superior.
Okay, Sigma's where we start rolling. Sigma's pretty fucking
Yeah.
packed. Sigma, we have Graduate, Zodiac, Memento, Ava, End of Ava. I should have just said End of Ava. Donnie Darko, Apocalypse Now, Nightcrawler, The Social Network, and Joker. So do you think any of those should move up to Kino?
I think if there was an argument, I think Apocalypse Now is the one that I feel like might be out of place in Sigma. But even then, I get why, because it is kind of like varying levels of quality throughout the movie,
It's true.
and the applicability to an incel list is only half there. So I'm okay with it on Sigma, but that's the one that does stand out to me.
It does look odd. What just feels odd even being here in
Yeah,
general.
that's true. It's just out of place.
So I think that's why it gets. The only ones I feel weird about, it's hard for me with Social Network and Graduate. I do feel like Social Network is so close to Kino.
Hmm.
Um, because the movie fucking ends and he's waiting for a girl to accept a friend request. You know, the
Yeah,
opening scene he gets broken up with. I mean, there's just so many literally me things
it's
throughout.
true.
I mean, it really is like the movie seems like it's about all these other things, but it's really about that at the core of it. Like that's the heart of the movie. But also I think because Fight Club exists is why it's knocked down. It's sort of like the millennial Fight Club,
Yeah,
and it just isn't quite because everything he does in Social Network that I'm mentioning, Fight Club does it to like the eighth.
right.
It's on another level, and I just don't think Social Network goes there. I think Social Network's more about the internet,
For
which
me too,
includes
rewatchability is a big factor too. Like you could watch Fight Club any day of the week. You could watch Social Network maybe once every couple years.
well, it's just weird because it's one of the best movies that's come out in the last like 20
Yeah,
years easily. Like it's one of the best written, acted, and I especially think Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg is Kino Incel. That
yeah,
performance. Like I would actually put it above some of the stuff. Like I think it's better than Joaquin Phoenix and Joker or like Nightcrawler. Like as a performance, I think it's like actually
yeah.
like because I love Eisenberg and this was that one role where he was like, oh fuck this, like because I loved him so much in Squid and the Whale and all these other movies, and then when he got Social Network, it was like finally somebody gave him a role
It's
like this.
it's so weird that he got to play Lex Luthor and he decided to do a Max Landis parody.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the
Instead of just
weirdest thing on earth.
I okay, now we're in Kino. Okay, The Matrix, Weird Science, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Three science fiction films there. Whiplash, Good Time, Her, The Shining, American Psycho, Fight Club, Taxi Driver, Adaptation, Clockwork, and Drive. I would say those ones I just named, those like five, those are all definitely Kino.
Yeah.
So the only debate here is if Weird Science, The Matrix, Eternal Sunshine, Whiplash, Good Time, if any of these don't belong in Kino.
I don't have any arguments with them.
I don't either. Okay, so let me
Now you guys know what to think.
well let me go down and look again, see if we missed any on this bottom list. So okay,
Okay.
the first Blade Runner, that's interesting. American Beauty, I guess Kevin Spacey's an incel in that.
Yeah. I get the bad guy maybe, the
Uh,
drug dealer.
Inception,
Yeah, he's getting laid in it though.
Inception's a really funny one to think about as literally me. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ricky Fitz in
Yeah.
American Beauty is literally me.
Yeah,
Them
that's
them watching the footage with the bag, I mean
yeah.
that's Donnie Darko before Donnie Darko. I'm shocked Jake Gyllenhaal didn't play that role. It blows my mind that's Wes Bentley. They Live, like why the fuck is that on here?
I guess because conspiracy theories
Yeah,
and
I don't
incels are associated with conspiracy theories. Because isn't it funny how it's like any group of people that the left doesn't like or just group together. It's like, yeah, if you hate women, you're also a conspiracy theorist and you're also a racist and you're also like,
Yeah.
you can't just be one of these different shades of bad
Well,
people. Every bad person's every type of bad
well,
person.
they think in terms of like people are rainbows. That's how they categorize people in the left. So it's like, oh, you're bad. You're all the different shades of bad. You know, you're not just the red and the rainbow. You're all the other colors that I don't like.
Yeah, I guess it's because they grew up reading Harry Potter. So it's
Well,
like, oh, you're all Malfoy,
well, that didn't work
every
out
one
for
of
them in
you.
the long run, did it? Their god
No.
betrayed them.
Whoops.
Have you been reading the shit she writes on Twitter where she's like, I just read one
I see
tweet.
it sometimes, and
It
it's the
was
funniest
she wrote
thing.
something recently that was insane. She's like people are trying to get me to be upset that I lost my fandom because I'm standing up against rapists. Yeah, you can just go fuck your or like something about all the
Holy
fucks I do. Yeah,
shit.
you guys are attacking me for going after literal
I
rapists,
just
so I don't need your fandom. Don't buy my book.
I appreciate that
It's like,
she's willing to die on a hill. That means a lot to me that, like, no matter what it is, the
oh,
fact that
it's
she actually cares about something and is willing to lose fans or money over it.
no. If her and Ye like worked on, I mean, if Ye had just made one,
Dawn to 4.
yeah, if he had just made a movie, anything that wasn't like one of those like God, Jesus is King music videos, he would have a
Yeah.
movie on this list.
Yeah,
I
easily.
I mean,
So
it's
Dawn
just
to listening parties would all just be
yeah, that's the
S.
thing. There would be the S plus that some people put on the list. Like we'd have the
Dawn to
Kino plus.
status.
Yeah, like Reservoir Dogs. Like I mean, there is some literally me to that. The
Uh,
guys.
yeah, it's like you go out with the boys. I think a literally me movie that should be on there is Swingers.
Yeah, totally. Swinger. Yeah,
I think it's not popular enough to have caught on like that,
him
but that's
calling
totally
the
a literally
girl
me
on the
movie.
phone
Yeah.
is the most. Yeah. Um, I think the only two maybe we should consider. I think maybe Elephant Man we should throw in here, just to have
Yeah,
some
definitely.
David Lynch representation. Because
What's funny is I'm not really an Elephant Man guy. It's not a bad movie, but it's far from my favorite Lynch stuff.
so I'm gonna put Elephant Man and Chad
Yeah, I'd say that's good.
because I'm seeing this list more as a thing about actors and directors, and I'm like Lynch has to be on here. I mean, Blue Velvet, that's literally me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eraserhead's the
yeah,
most literally me
yeah,
Lynch
that's the
movie.
thing. If Eraser was on her, it would be Kino. There
Yeah.
would be no debate.
What's so funny because I watched as a teenager and it didn't click with me. And then I watched it when I like was working and paying bills and like you're at that stage of life where like you're considering having kids and it's a radically different movie where it is so literally you.
Oh, it's insane. Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of overrated directors in modern films, Rob Eggers' The Lighthouse is on here too. Pattinson
Oh, I
again.
saw that. Yeah. For me that's beta.
Yeah, I'm putting that in beta so we can represent that. That it's so Robert Pattinson
Yeah.
has two betas on here. He
Yeah.
is
If
the
you like The
loser.
Lighthouse, it's because you have a small dick.
Yeah, Pattinson is the definitive loser of this list. He has good time, but he has
But he
two
I was gonna say he at
betas.
least has one Kino.
Yeah, he has two. I feel bad for the guy because I love Robert
And
P.
he is
But
good in The Lighthouse as well.
oh
It's
yeah,
just not a good
him and
movie.
Willem Dafoe are both good in it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's not even a terrible movie. Just
No,
to me, it's like, well, I've already seen Possession in movies like this.
well, that was the thing. It's the witch thing with this guy, and then the Northman now, and I'm like, what the fuck? Do you guys just like?
I didn't even watch The
Do you guys
Northman.
just like come over slow movies with like natural lighting with nothing? I mean, it seems like that's all. It's in
Yeah,
black and white. It's like so easy. You don't have to
I
do
gave
shit.
Lighthouse a chance because I didn't like The Witch, and then I saw he was talking shit on. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not proud of that movie. I think I could do better." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And saying I don't like Ari Aster as well, but I got to give them credit where they're at least trying different things with each movie. Like the commercial for that new Aster movie with Walk in it is totally different than Hereditary, which is totally different from Midsummer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give them that at least. They are growing
I
and
feel like
trying
I
new
feel like
things, trying and failing at new
the
things.
Yagos Lamonimos or whatever guy, the lobster
Yeah,
not being on here.
Lanthimos, I think.
Yeah, I feel like he's lacking on this list as well.
That is true.
I'm
And that's
feeling
an example of a good modern director that should be
yes.
getting the praise.
Yeah, who like I do agree with the hype in those communities where
Yeah.
the other ones I don't agree with.
Which is funny
Um
because The Lobster's the most popular, and I think that's the worst out of his more modern movies. I like it a lot, but for me, The Killing of his Sacred Deer and The Favorite are both much better. Is a Blair Witch in there? I was saying it was like the Blair Witch because you had the beanie on, you're looking up, and there's like a look of fear.
It should just end. I should just end the video there. It just cuts to black.
Snot scrolling down your
Yeah. It
nose.
should just cut to black at the end, and
I'm
that's
so
the end.
sorry I brought you out of these woods to rank incel movies.
No, I didn't think about it. I probably did look scared.
Because you're looking up, so it looked like vulnerable.
I'm so sorry. Okay, fuck it. We're done. Okay, this is the list. This is the list. Everybody look at it.
Right.
This is the definitive incel list.
Yeah.
We did it. We knocked it out. But let me look. What actor won? We have to go up ranking. Okay, so who has more than one in Kino? Nobody.
That's kind of cool.
De Niro would have
like
two. De Niro would have had two.
Yeah,
If
I
King
think
of
De
Kong.
Niro's the winner.
De Niro's
Actually,
the
I
winner.
think Pacino should be represented on here as well. I feel bad Pacino's not.
But okay, so right now the competition, it's Joaquin has one, Pattinson has one, Bale has one, De Niro, Nick Cage, Keanu, Jim Carrey, Gosling. So it's gonna depend on Sigma. Now in Sigma, Jake has 3. Jake wins.
Okay.
I thought Goose would come in more, but in Sigma, Jake has Nightcrawler, Donnie Darko, and Zodiac.
You know, Jake has more years too than Goose because he goes back to child, like Donnie Darko.
Yeah, he makes more
Time
movies
from that
too.
to now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with Jake being the incel king of this list. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You know, but Joaquin has 1 on Sigma. He has Joker, but I didn't see. Yeah, I thought it's funny. I thought Jake lost on this list, and now looking at it, he fucking dominated.
Yeah, well, the other ones too, they don't have the movies. Like, I think that You Were Never Really There or Never Really Here. You know, that's clearly a Literally Me movie.
Yeah.
That would give Walk his point. Goose has a couple movies like Half Nelson that would easily give him
Half
an
Nelson,
edge.
Blue Valentine, that Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah.
There's a few Goose movies missing.
Actually, did Goose and Place Beyond the Pines kind of kick off the sad boy aesthetic? Because that was an iconic look with the tats and everything,
Yeah.
the dyed blonde hair, and then Lil Peep and all that comes out after. It's indirect, but it was a foreshadowing of what was to come.
And then so Goose represented on this list, because there just isn't the movies on here. He's just in Lars and the Real Girl and Drive. That's all we have in representation. Yeah. It's in 2049, and then so right now the tier would be Jake wins, Goose
Second place
is second. Well, I guess no, actually Joaquin, because Joaquin has Her and Joker. So Joaquin's second. Goose is a shocking bronze medalist, and then Robert Pattinson loser here with the 2 in beta.
LVP.
Yeah, like fuck. I feel really bad for him. He just got knocked out.
I'm gonna feel so bad when he sees this video. He's gonna be so bummed.
Yeah, Keanu had a shockingly good showing though. Matrix and John Wick in there. Good for him. As far as directors, Stanley Kubrick in Kino has 2. David Fincher has 1, but he also has 1 in Sigma. And then Spike Jonze has 2 with Her and Adaptation.
I feel like Sigma should be a half Kino in terms of a ranking if it goes head and head.
Yeah, so I'm feeling Fincher has 1.5. Then Spike Jonze has. Oh wait, no, Fincher has 2 in Sigma. So that's like 2 Kino. So it's like a tie between Fincher, Kubrick, and Spike Jonze, which I think is an appropriate Kino list of directors.
And I would also say Charlie Kaufman as a writer has 2.
He does.
Because you have to give him a lot of credit for Adaptation and Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah,
and there's no other writers represented.
Well, I think it's very telling that Adaptation, Eternal Sunshine, and Her are all on here, and these guys all work together. So I'm gonna say Charlie Kaufman, the Spike Jonze crew. I think they're the winners.
Yeah,
for just looking at it, and
they won the Super Bowl of not having sex with women.
All right, thank you for watching. Please leave your version of the list in the comments section. Please subscribe. And I'm just gonna end this because the cat attack is happening.
Yeah,
and
wild animals broke into my room.
We're being attacked by wild animals.
The pussy's outraged.